Welcome everyone to the Island Life podcast, where we journey onto the island of discovery to relive some of the best and worst moments of Survivor. My name is Will, an experienced Survivor fan, 48 seasons deep, and I will be your guide. And joining us on this adventure is our rising Survivor fan with 13 seasons under her belt, and
Hello, everybody.
And of course, we also have our Survivor newbie, the brand new Survivor fan who just finished his 5th season of the show. I give you Survivor F.
How goes it? Looks like the gang's all back together.
The band's back together.
Yeah, no, depending on like release order, it's been quite a while since I got both of you here at the same time. And I'm happy too because we got a merge episode, and I think, my opinion, like a nice breath of fresh air, like positive episode, feeling good things to talk about. I'm gonna ask you what you thought about it, but first I have to know: are you Team Sophie or Team Soph?
I'm Team Blue Sophie. No, I'm kidding. I'm Team Yellow Sophie. If I had to pick one of the two Sophies, I prefer that nickname more than Sophie. By the way,
I'm not even saying this to play devil's advocate, but just I have a bias there, just because she is one of my winner picks, and the fantasy league that we're doing, I did choose the Blue Sophie, aka Soph. So I would say Blue Sophie.
See, I just meant, are you a fan of what Jeff wants to call them versus what they want to call themselves versus what the tribe wants to call them?
I'm shook that they don't go by like. Wait, do they have the same last name initial?
I was gonna say, why not
They
just
don't
do
go
like I'm
Sophie
Sophie
S.
A, you're Sophie S or something? Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they do not have the same last
Oh my
name.
gosh, and why didn't they do that? That was like it's easier to do Sophie B or Sophie C versus Blue Sophie, Yellow Sophie, Sophie. And it's like, oh, I heard you talking about No, I was talking about Sophie, you silly. Come on now. It's just confusing.
It's gonna be the reason to vote one of them out, like for nothing else but to just avoid that confusion.
Literally, Rizzo said that. He was joking, but he did say that.
He's not joking.
Oh no.
I'm also like, casting wise, what were you thinking? Like, why are there so many S names? Shannon, Sophie, two Sophies, Savannah, what was it? Shannon, Sage, Steven. There's so many S names. Like, there are so many alphabets. Please. So many. There's so many letters in this alphabet. We could have tried any other name, but no, we had to pick all the S's and two Sophies.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta get Jeff on top of this. Like, Jeff, what are you doing? We have to have an even split of different like first names.
We just need
Ryan Shoulders would not shoulder this.
Yeah, if Ryan Shoulders was playing in this season, they would just call him Shoulders, just to keep with the theme of the S's.
For real.
They're just avoiding a situation of calling someone like Skinny Sophie instead.
Oh, that would be bad. That would be so bad.
Wow. Yeah. What would the other Sophie think? She'd be like, wait, so if she's Skinny Sophie, what am I?
That would be so bad. This would be the opposite, because they kind of made Skinny Ryan Shoulders because he's small and not quote unquote strong. So versus here, it's probably like, to them, it's like, oh, why would you call her Skinny Sophie and not me? What does it mean?
Yeah, so hopefully everyone out there enjoyed our Pearl Islands tangent. If you're interested in who the heck Ryan Shoulders is, go tune in to our season 7 episodes. But yeah, so how do you feel about, so we're merged now, and it really kind of means it's the 4th iteration of tribes. So we had the original 3 tribes, we swapped into 2 tribes, we swapped back into 3 tribes, and we now merged into a singular tribe. So So, what'd you think?
I hate it.
It's too much. Too much. You know, they're
Uh,
they're going into it too fast, and especially if you're having a swap, like, let it stick around for a bit rather than,
Yes,
"Oh, we're swapping to this," and then immediately swapping to something else in the next episode, like, that defeats
exactly.
the entire point of, like, what was the point of the swap then? Like, it was just staying for 1 episode.
Yeah, I can't help but feel they were just testing out new things and being like, "Do we like 2 or do we like 3? What are people's thoughts?" And they're like, "Oh, cut down, take it away, merge, maybe." Like, I'm just confused where 49 was going with. Like, was there a plan or they were just so shocked that, like, Jake left or how bad Blue was that they didn't have a plan on this, and then they just scrambled and split them to 2, then split them to 3. I just think it made no sense, like, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree, and it puts into question some of the Hina members who got voted out in the previous episodes. They were screwed over because of the swap screw that we discussed previously. So, you know, if they're going about it and then changing and swapping to something else, like, it just makes it seem like from a macro environment, like, outside the game, there's forces caught putting additional pressure on you, putting you in a more stressful situation than if you were just more consistently within one tribe.
Right, right. Well, and let's kind of take inventory of what the swaps have done. So, our first swap from 3 tribes to 2, it seemingly swap screwed Matt and Jason, though we did heavily blame Jason as well in when we talked about it of just not doing enough to try to save himself. Uh,
Yeah.
it then
He couldn't lie.
it it did introduce Soph to the Uli tribe members, which developed it adopted her into the alliance. That would not have happened otherwise. It then didn't swap screw Steven after the second swap from 3 tribes back to 2, or from 2 back to 3, sorry, because it looked like Steven was gonna be screwed because he was with 3 other Ulis, but in fact, the 3 of them actually vote out Shannon.
Mm.
And then that those 3 people, Sage, Joanne, and Steven, create an alliance that would not have come up if not for that swap. So there's a lot of things around there that some things that maybe you like and some things that you don't like. So I wonder if it's kind of like, let's try a lot of things and see what sticks. And some of it did, and some of it didn't. And then obviously, like then the merge. I mean, I know the merge isn't a swap, but it's just another change in the format. That's an expected change, but it's another thing. And I was personally happy to finally be at the merge. Um,
Yeah.
the I think as we start with I think the headline of the episode is that the bottoms up alliance, Joanne,
Oh,
Sage, and Steven, and in this case, it's really focusing on Joanne and Sage. They make good on their promise to themselves, I guess, mostly of wanting nothing to do with former Uli and joining with everybody else in the tribe, except for I guess so, uh, to betray them. So this is the big thing, and it succeeds. They vote out Nate. So part one of this is, and do you have any issues with how Sage and Joanne seemingly quite easily and happily abandoned their Uli brothers and sisters?
I love it. I think strategically it's good because I also don't think I know that Sage knows that she's not that close to the original tribe. Like she and Savannah wasn't tight. It wasn't like she and Rizzo had a thing. They weren't that tight. So why would I stay just because our OG quote unquote OG tribe was like that? I feel like they tend to go back to like original tribe, even though I think Steven said or somebody said like lots of mixed pollination with all, like, the swaps going on. There's a lot of people, like, finding other relationships and stuff like that. So, like, I think it was a smart move on their part, and I'm not sure if Juwan was aware, but he was not that well liked. Savannah wanted to take him out, you know? If it wasn't to be, like, strong on, their strong red, I think she would have taken him out ages ago. So, the fact that he's able to kinda, like, pivot to make relationships with another team that would work with them, I think that is so smart strategically. And Sage, got rid of the person number 1 hate like, she was Shannon's number 1 hater. She got rid of her, took her out, and is able to, like, make a relationship. And I think from watching Sage is interesting because she's not like the classic extroverted person, you know? You don't see her being like, "Oh my god, I love it." Like, she doesn't do that. She tried with the Shannon when Shannon does it, she'll reciprocate, but she's not that person herself. But she was able to build this, like, really good foundation for now, things could change, but for now, a really good foundation with the bottoms up team, and I really like it. It's like a genuine relationship, like, you don't see her rolling her eyes, her being like, oh, fake, fake, fake." Like, it seems more genuine than any other relationship she had. So I think that was a smart move on her part.
I came into this episode thinking if I was in their spot, I would be hesitating a little bit more just because it seems pretty aggressive, especially if you're Sage, if you're Jawan, if you potentially have the majority in the numbers that you can vote with your original tribe. I'm not seeing the issue with targeting your tribe, but I was of the thought that, okay, maybe you wanna maybe wait an episode or 2 just so you can get a better understanding, a better read of who else will work with you outside the tribe, because otherwise you're at the bottom of that original tribe, but you don't know what your relationships with the others are beyond Steven at this point, and you could be putting yourself at the bottom of another tribe that you're not aware of, right? So it's like you're just moving the goalpost from one to another, and because of the unknown there is an inherent risk with that. But even the entire sequence, I thought that was interesting, right? Like, when they all got into that post-merge discussion. They were all told that they were going to be joining the other group, that was on the island that Steven, Sage, and Joanne were on. Those 3 were just kinda chilling, laying low, having conversations. Sage had one of the all-time quotes talking about, "Oh, you listen to them approaching, you feel all the fakeness coming to you." So, I just loved that line, and it just kinda made things awkward too in the sense that they were considering just kinda staying there while everyone who was, being put on a boat approaching their island. As they were out in the open, they were all hugging each other, not introducing to one another, they already know each other, but just kind of saying hi again, like, now we're on the same tribe, like, "Hello, hi," just having a nice meeting or greeting with one another. This tribe just kind of, or this group, I should say, hesitated in coming out, and I thought that was a little bit of an awkward sequence right there. And it just goes to show that they don't feel comfortable in their own tribes, at least Joanne and Sage don't. I feel like Steven, on the other hand, he has more of he doesn't have a lot of self-confidence in terms of, like, what he said in front of the viewers, but, like, you see him and how he communicates with the people in his tribe, and he seems like a pretty good social person. Like, he seems like he can hold his own. He's a pretty likable person. That could make him a threat, but you just put it all together, and I just thought that going back to the plan of Sage and Jawan trying to target their own members, I thought that was a little aggressive. Obviously, the way the episode ended, from what we know so far, it has been the right choice.
It's interesting. Ultimately, this is this is in part the fault of Savannah, Rizzo, Nate, and Shannon, who's not here anymore. Like, they made like, it became too obvious to Sage and Joanne, at least Sage, and eventually Joanne, that they weren't considered part of the main group, and that opened the door for this type of thing to happen. Now, obviously, like, you can't all 6 of you be I mean, then again, I guess Hina was the Vibe Tribe, so maybe. We never got to find out because Matt and Jason got voted out, but, um yeah, I mean, think about what this sets up. So, because they flip, um, everybody votes for Nate except Nate himself, who's gone, Rizzo, Savannah, and Soph. So, on paper, that means it's Rizzo, Savannah, and Soph against everybody else, which is Alex, Joanne, Christina, MC, Sage, Sophie, and Steven. So that's 7 versus 3. That's pretty strong. That if you're Joanne and Sage, it does feel good to be part of a big group. If they didn't do this, if they voted with Uli, they would. Oh, actually, you know what the problem is, and not that Rizzo and Savannah and Soph and Nate would like know this. Their target was Steven, and Steven's part of this new Bios Up alliance, so it's kind of a non-starter. Like, we're not gonna let our alliance member get voted out. So maybe like accidentally by targeting Steven, it just like solidified that Siobhan and Sage were not gonna work with them. Which then I don't fault them for, because I mean they don't know.
They didn't have too many options based on how the rest of the episode went. We did see a sequence with MC where she had a beware advantage, and before even going into a tribal vote, she had to set herself up in a situation where she could go and actually get the advantage. Hers was you have to get this before you go into tribal, so it doesn't give you too much time to work with, and you also have to be considerate about how you come off to others. How do you separate yourself from the rest of the group and not come across as suspicious? That was another highlight of the episode for me. I don't know what your thoughts were on that, but it was it's something I was laughing at quite a bit as it happened, just because we see MC go off on her own, and eventually Savannah is the one other member in the group, and these are again
Hmm.
groups that get split up due to the challenge that we'll talk about. But Savannah is one of the people who's with her, who ends up following her, and MC at this point has not told anyone she has a beware advantage. From what I
Next to
recall, I think
Steven.
only Steven
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
aware, but he's not with her on in this group. And so this is in a situation where the people that she's with of that group, no one knows that she has the beware advantage. So we see we see Savannah sneak up and approach her, and at this point, it's an awkward position to be in. You can't really lie about the fact that like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of out here just digging through things or looking like I'm scavenging. Like we all know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. I'm
It's
looking for something
awkward.
for exactly. So it was one of those things where she just came out and said like, yeah, I'm just looking for keys to Savannah, and I don't know what happened there. The way that the camera just panned to it, we immediately see both of them focus in on keys that are just somewhere on the ground, like on the beach. And Savannah immediately dives towards the keys, not even knowing what they're for. She dives for the keys. Unfortunately, she reacts a little too late. MC is able to gather the keys. The keys are for her to unlock a box, which will give her her own immunity idol. And this just sets up an entire sequence between the two where it's like, you could tell neither side trusts the other, but obviously they're in a position where they're communicating with each other. Savannah admittedly does look a little psychotic here,
Yeah.
where she's just kind of looking at her the entire time and observing what she's doing.
Them
And
giant
MC is
eyes.
exactly, yeah, like MC's communicating that, like, yeah, like it looks a little weird. Like I have to just kind of get her off my back and make it sound like I'll be willing to work with her. But we could tell from that sequence that like they were just faking it to each other, and neither side thought that like, yeah, this person's being fully upfront with me. So that was a sequence just ahead of tribal where the thing that we learn is okay, eventually MC does get her own immunity idol. How does that play into the rest of the episode? You know, there's a lot of things that it connects to, but what did you think about that sequence right there?
That was awkward. That was so awkward. It felt like for a moment, I thought, Savannah was just gonna pounce on those keys and run for it. Like, just book it out of here. It's like,
Mhm.
"Bye, I got them keys." But then MC got it, and then while MC's, like, stressed out because there's, like, a bunch of keys, it's not just 1 key, put it in, "Oh, got it." It is a you have to go through all of this and remember which one you use, which one you tried. This is a stressful situation because you're worried the other people are gonna come and you find out. And then there's this girl just wanting to talk strategy to
Oh
you,
wow,
being like,
Savannah's like looming
"Hey,
over you.
let's be best friends." Like, "Hey, I wanna work with you. Let's work together." It's like, "Girl, read the room, Savannah." Like, like, "Are you trying to distract me so I don't get this? What are you trying to do?" You know? And MC's just, like, in her mind trying to get this fixed. when Savannah's giving her the crazy eyes, and she's like, "Yeah, yeah," and Savannah's like, "Yeah, I kinda know we're both not gonna work with one another, but we're just gonna say these
Yeah,
things," you
Savannah be
know?
creeping.
And it is such an awkward moment, but it gives me those vibes that, like, I don't know, Savannah's just not the she I feel like she plays hard, but she's also not great because she's not it's a different spectrum what Shannon had, because Shannon was, like, out there making friends and all that, and people kinda felt, like, the genuineness besides Sage, versus with Savannah, I can't, like, put my finger on it, but Savannah gives out more fakeness in her, like, the way she's, like, trying to pull into, like, other people, that it makes
Right.
it disingenuous, and it doesn't work. I think nobody is falling for it. I don't think she's good enough to do it.
Yeah, I could see that too, and we see even someone in her own group that she would be close to, Nate, he's one of the people who's not with that group that I'm describing, but he talks about how Savannah is very competitive. This is like, going back to the challenge, they're talking about one group goes ahead and the other doesn't. And Savannah is unfortunately part of the losing group in the challenge eventually. And what happens is, one of the first things we hear is Nate mention that, yeah, Savannah's probably pretty pissed off. She's just very competitive, and I think that's the vibe that a lot of people get. That, like, she's playing to win, right? Like Sage, we see Sage talk about that too. I don't recall if Shannon mentions that. I feel like Shannon might have caught wind of that herself. But most people who interact with her, spend enough time with her, get a sense that, yeah, she's playing to win. She's very competitive. She'll do whatever it takes to win. So, could you be lying to me? Could you be deceiving me? That comes into question, and that's what probably creates that fake persona.
which honestly is
Mhm.
fine as my ally. I mean, she, for example, worked really hard to make sure that Rizzo was able to get his Beware idol when he needed to. And in fact, she was like, "Let's go dig this up." But before he wasn't even doing it, and he's like, "Oh, you guys did it for me, great." So it sounds like if she actually wants to work with you, a powerful ally, you just have to figure out if she actually wants to be with you. I I liked a lot of what Savannah was doing. So she's basically playing defense because like someone who's not in my alliance is just has wandered off. That usually means they're looking for something. And with context clues, she knows somebody has a beware idol. It could be. Um Also MC is honest, so says she's looking for a key, so therefore um Savannah knows what this is. The only thing that was crazy is the crazy dive for the keys by Savannah, right? And this is the second time. I really need to get rules committee in here. I thought, and it could be I'm wrong. If you grab the beware advantage clue, like with the instructions, I thought that that meant that now that idol is dead to everyone other than you until you claim it, if you ever claim it. So if someone
Right.
else digging up the keys doesn't get them the idol. Now, F, you did point out something that made me very intrigued. It's possible what the intention is if I have the keys, the person who needs them doesn't have it. So even if I can't do anything with them, neither can she in this case. And and she could even do something crazy. You could take the keys and just like toss them into the ocean if she wants to. And I think there's a fair chance that that is all fine, because you can't do that with an idol. You can't just go into someone's bag, take out their idol, and toss it in the oceans or into the woods. Like, that's not allowed.
Yeah. Yep.
But this isn't the idol. This is just some keys. It's not even the Beware advantage itself, it's just some keys. So, maybe you would be hated forever if you did that to that person, but if you plan to vote them out, then I guess it's fine. So that would have been crazy, and maybe that's what she was going for. Uh,
Yeah, that's what makes it all, like, very fascinating. I think she actually was alluding to that. She had mentioned afterwards to the viewers that she was just a few seconds away from being able to obstruct her enough to be able to put her in a vulnerable position, meaning MC would not be able to have her vote because she wouldn't have enough time to get the keys into the box and get the immunity idol. So I think her intention was to obstruct her, and she was just like, as you said it, she's just playing defense. It's something where, if you're working on a team with that person, you appreciate that very much. But if you're going against them, that person is going to get on your nerves.
It does make Savannah knowing how it all turned out this episode. Like her actions are damaging relationships such that if she ever needs them, it is now harder. Like if she wants to pivot and be like, "Oh, MC, we should work together," it's gonna be a lot harder for MC to want to do that now than like if Rizzo asks to talk to MC. So that's not great.
Do you find this thing that Savannah was trying to do a quote unquote villainous act? Would you guys consider that as something villainous or more strategic? Or is it both? Is there some mixing, a Venn diagram on that?
If she intended to throw into the ocean, then that's is diabolical. I guess it's not like honestly, like
Yeah.
Jake throwing shoes is more villainous because that's just being mean. It's for no reason. It's sowing chaos like that. Whereas this would still be uh like strategy, and she would, and I obviously like it's mean to I guess it was not even mean. It's just like you would argue like that's the game, right? So I think
Yeah.
diabolical is the adjective I would use.
I think you also have to look into her situation, right? Like if you're in a position where you feel like you could be under threat, you could be one of the people going home. She herself does not have protection. She just has her, I mean, assuming, Rizzo shares his idol with the rest of the group. So like there is strategy does have to be important there. She's not just doing it for the sake of doing it. She's doing it so that, if that's a vote taken away from MC, she could become a target. So she's just trying to avoid becoming a bigger target or eliminate something from becoming a bigger threat, right? If you have someone who gets an immunity idol, you're starting to head towards the jury vote. The longer they're in the game, the bigger threat they become. So you're just trying to neutralize something before it becomes a threat. So in that sense, it is strategic. But I would say, it would be villainous in the sense that, yeah, if she goes kind of overboard, just throws the keys away, then that is a poor look no matter how you look at it. Like you're obstructing someone. Yeah, there's strategy in play, but like I definitely think it's more strategic than villainous, at least in the context from what we see.
Okay, okay.
I think the villain move would be, rather than even toss them, would be mad dash, grab them, and since it's like a ring of keys, just put them around your neck like an immunity idol and just spend the whole day wearing it just to show off that you can't have it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
And then
yeah.
that would be yeah,
The
you're
the
right.
villainous aspect
Mhm.
is doing something that's like you don't need to do just for the sake of doing it, and it's something that could be harmful towards someone else.
speaking of mad dashes, so the story of uh the immunity challenge, so leading up to it, another boat arrives, and it turns out that everyone needs to run into the woods and search for little keys, not these ring of keys we're talking about, but other keys, to unlock
Sure.
a box, and that box is going to have a mysterious advantage for the upcoming immunity challenge. And we actually get what we've seen for a few of these new era seasons, but it's usually for the auction where they all run and to find just little bamboo uh pieces of bamboo with cash inside them, and then however many you find is how much money you have to play with. So we basically see that, but it's to try to get this advantage, and it turns out to be Sage, who gets the lucky key and earns an advantage. So at this point in the episode, everything was coming up Sage. Um, One little thing, so like this type of advantage, like a challenge advantage, sometimes it's been by buying it at the auction. That's happened before. Sometimes it's just finding it. Like you see people find an immunity idol in the woods. Sometimes you just find an advantage. It's come this way. We had this one where it's not it feels like chance, and I guess it is mostly chance, but it does involve like actually searching and finding keys. So, do you have any opinions on this method of earning an advantage, or is it all good with you?
I don't think I'm
Uh,
against it. I'm fine with it. I think this
yeah,
season they like last season there was a lot of like word puzzles to get your like idol, right? It was word
Well,
puzzle. It was
well,
like the
like
little like
like journeys,
combination
right?
lock thingies, yeah. And then this time it was a lot of finding things and things chained and lots of keys. And I don't think I'm against it. I just think I think it's less am I less excited about it? I think a little bit, maybe. What about you, F?
yeah. I came away thinking that it's okay. It's like the thing for me is as long as there's variety in these sorts of challenges, then I'm all for it, right? Like if every sort of challenge we see is luck based like this one, then yeah, I'd probably be against it. But if we have enough variety from one to the next, then I have no issue with it. It's as long as you bring variety to each season, then I'm generally pretty accepting towards most challenges.
Gotcha, gotcha. And this is like a I don't even know it counts as a challenge. It's just like a activity or something, but it just occurred to me. It's like, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
pre
People,
pre challenge little activity,
yeah. So
advantage activity.
now we go to the actual immunity challenge, and we get something really cool that I picked up on it right away, which was they're all there. Remember, the note said to at the beginning of the episode, drop your buff. So none of them have any of their buffs. And for the entire new era, what this has led up to is uh that it's six versus or it's the earn the merge competition, and you need to uh you're split in half, and the winning half they get their buffs. They're all immune at tribal council, and everybody else is vulnerable. But now, then we got 2 seasons in a row where it's essentially how it's always been, where this is the merge, therefore one person is safe. Um, and the only little twist here is that so they all get their buffs immediately, and they are gonna split in half, but the point of the tribe versus tribe part is to earn food reward and the more traditional merge feast. And then that group is also who competes against each other for individual immunity. So definitely like this. I like this than what most of the new era seasons have been. Um, I do question: do we need the extra? Could it just have been all 11 of them doing that second part of the challenge? And you know what? Before you guys talk, I might as well talk about it. So the this challenge was split in half. The first was uh 2 teams against each other. They have to dig up this huge boulder, push the boulder through kind of an obstacle course until you get to a big wall, climb the boulder however you can to get your entire team up to the top, and then 2 of you will try to construct a puzzle. It was called Rock and Roll was the name of this challenge. And the winning team was Nate, Rizzo, Sophie, and Steven. And Sage, who won that advantage, I find it a key, gets to join that team without having to actually participate in the strenuous challenge. And then those people face off against each other in uh, a balance slash dexterity challenge. Like they're all standing on this narrow beam that's slanted downwards. And then with one arm, they're holding a pole. On top of the pole is this big ball. So they need to balance the ball on the pole and also not fall off the beam what they're standing on. So mostly, just basically, a big balance challenge. So I was just wondering if could we have just skipped that first boulder part? I could just all 11 of them competed in this.
Pretty
Like
much.
maybe. Like maybe. Like but then again, we did get some excitement. It's a two-stage competition, so So yeah, any thoughts on that? Did you like what we? First of all, did you like what we saw?
I
Absolutely.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here. I think I'm a fan of these endurance challenges. So to your initial question of could we have just made that final challenge the one for everyone? I think that would have made for a more interesting challenge. It would have been more tense that like, oh, okay, everyone's up on the board. And I'm gonna go a little off topic here, but just for the preceding challenge of the boulder, I found myself just thinking of Resident Evil the whole time for any gamers out there, and this giant boulder. And if it, so, whoever's played the Resident Evil games is gonna get this reference. Like I was just thinking of Chris Redfield the whole time. Chris Redfield on his way to punching boulders, just boulders of that size. That's what I was thinking of and, like, laughing to myself the entire, like,
Amazing.
first part of that challenge. But, yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting challenge. I do like the endurance stuff, so it was pretty entertaining to see the team win the immunity the chance to do the immunity challenge, but then also get a chance to go to the feast. But I just thought that was an unnecessary complication. You could have just done, like, the same thing where it's, like, top 6, top half finishes get the same thing. So rather than split it like in the two groups that you have it, it's every man for himself, top 6 finishes, and then for finalist gets the immunity idol.
Yep. Yeah. Or I'm stuck with is I think in my head I didn't need the first stage of this challenge, and yet it's not like I didn't enjoy it. Like I was, and like you have your different rooting interests of which player on which team you want to get to that stage. Um, so it was interesting to me. I'm like I'm mixed, but ultimately I'm just happy we're not doing the old thing, which was 6 people. Like half the group is immune and the other half is not immune. We would get a showdown between Sophie and Steven at the end of the immunity part, the second phase of this challenge. And from at the time, it looked like clutch win for Sophie because her name had been identified by the group at that point uh, as someone to target. And so she gets the big win, first individual immunity winner of the season. And obviously, this is a huge one to win because the merge vote is always chaotic. Like weird things happen. There's a lot of people voting, the most you've seen for the whole season. And so to be safe is great. And after
Mm.
this is the reward where they're all eating, and therefore the other half is still at camp. That's when we get the scene you described play out with MC and Savannah and all that good stuff.
I'm surprised, how well Sophie did. Like, in a pleasant way, like, because she was in their last episode, she was kinda down where she's never in the strong of an alliance, and her winning this allows her to build alliances and allow her to build relationships, and as you said, like, during the first vote, from the merge, it's always crazy. It was crazy, and it was crazy in such a great way, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Um yeah, I'm very happy that Sophie won. I was rooting for Steven and Sophie, so I guess in the end, they both, it was nice. I do like the fact that it wasn't half the people are safe from immunity. I like that. I do. I don't think it's because I'm bored of it. I just think it's better that way, that everyone is not safe.
It just
It
limits when so many people are safe, it limits the stories that are gonna come up because
yeah.
only certain
Exactly.
people are available.
Yeah, it's just not as entertaining, right? Like when you know half the tribe is off the board. So, this one situation, we still kind of saw a bit of that, right? It added a complication to the red team's plan of voting out the the Sophie. So they had to pivot and figure out who are we going to be voting out next. And the one thing I found myself thinking about the whole time was, Savannah did go up to the other Sophie, blue team Sophie, and mention to her that, okay, like with MC, like she actually ended up getting the idol. And interestingly enough, obviously, like Savannah's telling MC at the time that, yeah, don't worry, your secret's safe with me. I'm not going to tell anyone. But that was just such a pointless thing to say because for a fact she was just going to go. Like,
I
she
know.
has no allegiance to her. Like, why wouldn't she just? So I just
Well,
thought that
yeah,
was
but you're
funny.
not gonna be like, just so you know, I'm gonna tell everybody. Like that's you probably
I
shouldn't
feel
say
like you
that.
should just
I
not
think
say it, though.
yeah,
I think
I
it's
think
best
you
to
should
just
just not
don't say
say it.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
exactly.
But then on her, like, confessional, she's like, "Oh, she knew I was gonna tell people, and I am. I'm doing it." It's
Yeah,
like,
like
"Okay, then don't say it then." Like,
yeah, like
I don't
that's being
know.
fake, right? So
Yes.
it's just I thought that was funny, but like the question I had for both of you was now that we know that this Sophie has the knowledge is power, the one that didn't win the immunity challenge, she is in a position where she knows that Rizzo has the idol, and now based on what Savannah's told her, if she trusts what Savannah's saying, she then also does know that MC has the idol. So I just thought this is an interesting predicament for someone to be in, especially if they're originally not part of either of the bigger tribes. They're part of the smaller blue Kaylee tribe. What what is the strategy? Like, what sort of strategy would you employ if you were in her place, right? Like, is this something where the minute you're aware that this person has an idol, you would try to steal their idol? Or would you try to be more subtle about it? Would you wait it out, potentially risk losing access to that idol? Like, how would you guys go about this?
Well, I think it's important to
Oh.
review the knowledge is power first. So we
Yes.
actually mentioned it last week, but once again, toddlers first, knowledge is power. And I don't know if actually I don't know if either of you got to see one of these got used, but
Not for me.
but
I don't think
but
so, no.
this advantage is at tribal council at any time up until everyone starts to go vote. You can ask anyone else whether they have an advantage or if they have an idol. That person has to tell you the truth, and if the answer is yes, they hand over that idol or advantage. And now you just have it, and then the rest of the tribal council continues as it is. Incredibly powerful, pretty controversial. I think there's a quite a loud majority that dislikes this advantage for how powerful it can be on paper. But just playing it out, it is an extremely public advantage. Like there's no subterfuge going on if you're the one with knowledge is power. Like it's right in front of everybody. Everyone knows what advantage or idol you got if you get one. And then you have to kind of pivot from there. Like if Soph had done it at this tribal, uh let's just say if she target if their big idea was MC as an idol, but we want to get her out, so we're gonna have Soph steal it, which Soph has kept as a secret, so no one would have ever suggested this, but just hypothetically, then obviously like everyone knows what you're doing, and now MC probably thinks she's the target, and you have to decide if you're okay with that or not. Um, but okay, so now that's the baseline of what this advantage can do. So Ange, what do you think about F's hypothetical?
Uh, I feel like if I was this is hard. You're right, it is such a public advantage. Um, quick question. If I like, let's say I'm like, okay, well, do you have the idol? You got it. Do I have to use it right away? Can I use it some other time? Preventing you from using it tonight?
Oh no, it's just in your possession now, so you can do whatever you want to do
Oh,
with it. You
I
can do
don't
with
have to
it.
use it. Wow.
No,
Okay. Wow. 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 You know, if this is different because I feel like if I was in Soph's position, I would not want to take it from anybody that I know. I wouldn't take it from Rizzo. It would be planning to take it from MC. I think I would have just snatched it, because she could have used it any time, which she did that night. She did use it that night. Um, ooh, but then it would be like everybody knows you have an idol though. At this point where Soph is, she is so hidden, nobody's attacking her. Like, she has been forgotten. Nobody thinks she's a threat, and I think that she should use that to her advantage by staying low, staying quiet until it creeps up where there's less and less people, and I feel like with less people, you may have a higher chance of finding out when another person has an idol. There's a high chance of somebody in your team has one, and then maybe in the end, you pull a little take away from your person, that would be memorable because as Jeff said, they're still looking for people in season 50.
Oh
Like, you
yeah,
guys
that
can
was
make a
funny.
move. Like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, we have a chance to be in the Mount Rushmore of Survivor at
Imagine,
this point.
imagine Jeff was just lying. He's like, actually, I already know who I'm gonna pick. It's like
Yeah,
two people in the pre-merge. But
yeah,
but
yeah,
sure,
right.
there's spots open.
Jeff just it's so funny. Jeff's just hanging that, being like, hey guys, don't be boring.
I know that. I mean,
Don't
essentially, that's what
be
he's saying.
boring.
Don't
Yeah.
let's do
Mhm.
some exciting things. I agree,
Yeah.
Ange, that with like what you're saying. Where I mean, maybe what Soph could do, because obviously things look bad for her now because she is in the smaller group at the moment. Although you would think she's not going to be the number one target if things continue this way.
Yeah, I don't think
So
she is.
if she wanted to pledge her loyalty to the other group, she could surprise them by taking Rizzo's idol, thus making him vulnerable at tribal council, and then hopefully that means that they'll trust her. That might be something she could do.
Honestly, that would work. I see that. But if it was me, I would just lay low, continue going and just, we'll have to pull some moves later on. I think it's powerful that nobody knows she has this. And it's powerful to be able to blindside somebody in your team and take advantage of that moment, Or like, "Oh, no, I'm in the final 5 or final 4." I don't know. "I'm about to get everybody's gonna vote me out tonight. Oh, wait, I'm stealing your idol, and I'm gonna use it
And
tonight."
I'm gonna
Like,
use it.
that is crazy.
Yeah. Or like they think you're gonna use it because you just made this big show of it, so they don't vote for you,
Oh,
and then you
yes,
don't
yes,
use
yes.
it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or they're like, "Oh, we don't wanna do Will because Will's got the idol," and I'm like, "Oh, nope, I snatched it," and now everyone's like, "Alright, tonight, easy. Will is the answer."
Yeah, it's just such a fascinating advantage, and I found myself out of anything in this episode thinking about the potential possibilities with it more than anything, right? So, I don't know if I like how it's currently handled because, like, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. You had mentioned that it's powerful, which no doubt, like, at a high level, if you think about it, sure, it's powerful, but, like, people could immediately vote for you if they know that you have the idol. That's the problem with it, that it's
Mhm.
public. I think, like, just initially thinking about it, one of the things that I would have rather implemented it as, which might still sound powerful, but I'll explain a little bit further, would be I think it would make more sense that it's something where you don't have to, like, you have it set up in a system where you can just steal someone's idol, but do it subtly, right? Like, once you have confirmation that someone has an idol, you can take a chance and I don't know how they asked the question, but you can do it where you're not revealing it to others. And it's something you have to do after you vote. It's not something you do before the vote. The point being, you're trying to avoid making it public. And the thing that does is that makes it so that, okay, everyone's already voted. You don't have an you can steal someone who has an idol. Like if someone was going to play an idol, right? You steal their idol. They no longer have an idol. Like that's the thing that I found myself wondering, how is that portion to be implemented? But
Mhm.
assuming, like, let's just skip that for a second and just assume that very simple, like there is a way to get it done where you can steal someone's idol. They are then, I guess, aware or not aware, that I haven't thought about. But as long as you're able to do it after you vote, it also puts you in a position where you can't use it right away. The vote's been done, and it puts a little bit of pressure in that, like, okay, I've stolen someone's idol, but it's something I can use for the next day. I can't use it right away. That I thought would be a more interesting way to approach that because there's still that risk with it where you could try to steal someone's idol, but then you could end up getting voted out, right? Like you don't have access to it yourself. But the thing I like about that is you can keep it subtle. The problem with how it's set up is that, like, you have to reveal it to everyone. And that can immediately make you a target. And I'm just thinking that whenever someone has this sort of advantage, they'll just make themselves a target immediately after they get it, unless for some foreseen reason, like someone else is just such a big target that it just does not even matter.
Well, I
Mm.
guess it would be like you're in the majority group anyway, so it doesn't matter that you're a target because you got the majority. Like that's like if you're gonna use this offensively, it would be I where I have the numbers, but the problem is that the person we want from the minority alliance has an advantage or an idol. So to depower them and leave them defenseless, we're gonna steal it. And sure, like they know it was me, but their group is smaller than our groups, doesn't matter. Whereas on defense, like people are coming after you. So to save yourself, you're gonna steal it. But in your scenario, it can't be it's not as good on defense because then you can't use it to save yourself. But in your version, it's incredibly powerful on offense because now it's too late to change your plan. So
Yeah.
I guess it depends on if you like defense or offense. Because as it is right now, it is really good on defense and pretty good on offense. Whereas if it's after the votes, then it's not that good on defense and like S tier on offense. So that's interesting. I'd also call out, by the way, obviously the flashy thing to do with it is to steal an idol. You could steal advantage, like if you know that someone has like a steal a vote or a extra vote. You don't even need to know which advantage. All you have to say is, do you have an advantage? And they have to say yes if they do. The one thing I know
Yeah.
people don't like, and I think I agree with the people that don't like this, it is a weird game mechanic that takes away your ability to lie. In the game of Survivor, we actually think one of the key components is the social strategy of deception. And this is just an awkward thing that forces because presumably if you did lie, then like production would have to step in and like blow up your spot and be like, nope, they actually do. It's a little weird. I don't like how that feels. So I think that's part of the reason I'm not a fan of it.
Takes away the
Right.
outwit part, you know?
But if it actually happens, I mean, it's supposed to be a reward for having the social skills to know where idols and advantages are. I think that's what it is
Yeah.
on paper. Like it's hard to know where all the items are in the game. If you do, this helps you. It's just that in the new era, especially idols tend to be really public. So it doesn't feel like it's that impressive to know where the stuff is. So I think
Yeah.
that's my hang up.
That's a good way of putting it. And just
Yeah.
then going back into this tribal, I found myself wondering, okay, like what is Sophie going to be doing with this? And now that she's aware, two different people have it. One person she's working with in Rizzo, and then another person that potentially could be someone that they want to vote out in MC. And it just it took us to another interesting tribal, right? Because right at the start of the tribal, we see the group get together. And I don't know if this was some form of strategy that they had discussed beforehand, but we see Rizzo come out and just say that, like, hey, I'm going to do a little test of honesty here. Just going to tell everyone that, yes, everyone here already knows that I have an idol. It's pretty public, but I'm going to tell you all that I'm going to use it right now and just to try to protect myself. Before they
That
get
was a
into voting,
wild
before
moment
they,
there.
yeah, like, because this is when, like, Jeff is talking to them. This is not even, like, when they're, like, thinking about the votes or anything like that. This is just in the initial discussion. He's just revealing that to everyone.
It's a weird power move. It's basically you better not vote for me. I'm gonna use it. You better not vote
Yeah.
for me. If you vote for me, something bad might happen. And I
I don't
guess
like that.
and I guess they don't vote for him, so he might feel like it was a good move. But but it seems like he wasn't. He was considered as a target, but in the end, he wasn't the primary target. Yeah,
Yeah, the
you
Riz God playing mind games.
playing mind games. I think I like this more when there's no other option besides you. Like, there's no good options because hypothetically, let's say they walked in the tribal with the intention to vote Rizzo, but then he pulls those shenanigans and it scares them. Well, all they got to do is change to Savannah or Nate. Like it's not that like I feel like they're not stressing too much about it. But imagine he didn't do that, but he does that next tribal council. and Savannah had one immunity, so she's safe. Well, now, oh no, so we can't vote for Savannah. We were going to vote for Rizzo, but he says he's going to use her idol. Now we have to do something uncomfortable. Like, that feels better. Like, I don't know if this added any value.
I thought those
I think it just hurt them, to be honest, because you're showing your hand, you're showing that there's an intention to use the idol, and you're kind of giving the other group strategy in terms of how to play around that. Because before going to tribal, there were a few names that came up, right? Like, do we want to blindside Rizzo potentially? Do we want to take out Savannah? Do we want to take out Nate? Nate seems to be the safest option. If we were going for a big play, we could try to target the person who does have the idol. Rizzo, to his group, based on what we see, does tell them that, yeah, I'm not going to play the idol. I don't have any intention of using it. If you guys got me, then I have no need to use it. That's what makes it so interesting that immediately as they go to tribal, he instead tells the entire group something different. And it seems to be some form of strategy where he's trying to throw everyone else off. But ultimately, what that does is maybe if he didn't say anything, maybe if he's worried, or maybe if they can put a game plan where they're worried that they're going to be the minority, they could try to get the group to target him and have the people around him try to feign this, oh, okay, like he's not going to use his idol, right? And that way, like, he could draw that vote and potentially use the idol to protect himself, and they get who they need out. But what this ultimately did was this made it so that, okay, we're like, process of elimination, we're just not even going to target Rizzo. We'll just target someone else. We'll target one of his allies, Savannah or Nate, right? So it just made it so that, like, he's not able to protect his tribe. It, he's essentially giving them someone else to target,
Yeah.
and
Now,
they're
granted,
kind
he
of,
didn't think they were in danger. Like, he didn't think there was any need to protect his tribe because he
yeah.
thought that they had 6 people voting. So,
But the point is,
and
he's just showing his hand in a way that he doesn't really need to.
yeah, that's true. If he thinks he has the maturity, what's to be gained by, I mean, maybe it's just self-interest. Like, I know we have 6 people, but you never know, weird things happen. Let me make sure they don't vote for me. I guess it could be as simple as that. So, just a selfish move, which makes sure that it won't be him if something goes wrong. And by the way, something did go wrong, and he survived and still has his idol. So if you think about it from that perspective, maybe it's okay. But now, okay, how about this? Now, the next time he does this, maybe they're like, oh, he's not going to use it, but then he actually does use it.
Mm.
Oh, how about that?
That's the Riz
Some
God mind
little
games.
yeah, some psychology, some reverse psychology.
And you know what? While we don't see Rizzo use his idol, we actually do see MC use her idol.
Which
And
I'm like, "Why, MC? Why?"
she must have felt the pressure, right? She must have felt that maybe some of the votes were going to be cast on her. So she was just trying to be extra protective about herself, make sure she goes and lives another day. So she just wasn't getting a good enough read, clearly, to be able to go through with it.
Yeah. I mean, I respect it. I get it, you rather be safe than sorry. Last thing, as they say, like, go home with the idol in your pocket, that would suck. Um, it's just like, I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of a waste for a bit, but again, I guess it makes sense. I mean, you'll feel sorry. We would have been like, "Why didn't you use it if she was voted out?"
Well,
Yeah.
maybe part of it is because it became public, and she, even though I don't know, we don't see it, but if I was her, I would assume that Shannon told, oh, not Shannon, Savannah told everybody.
Savannah.
So at this point, it's a public idol. Maybe she just, let me get rid of it. I don't want it. I don't want to create the extra target. We saw Alex do that too. Granted, his situation was way more dire. That was the 3-person tribal council. But part
But
of that is, if I still have this idol, it's another reason for someone to target me, and things are dangerous right now, so I don't want it. So maybe
Right.
it's just fresh start. Let me get rid of it, and then, because the day could come when Joanne and Sage, like, hey, their vendetta was against Uli, but if they cross all those people off, like, what's the next blind side? Well, MC, she's had this idol. She's dangerous. Let's blindside her. So,
Right.
this is just to take one reason away from that. Now, if she had been able to keep it secret, then sure, then there's no danger. So, there might be a little bit of that sprinkled in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a confessional next week from uh MC explaining that was the reasoning.
I don't take issue with it at all. It's better to use it and not need it than have needed it and not use it, right? You don't want to be that person who has an idol that you have to end up taking home with you.
That's true.
Yep, yep. So we lose Nate. Like we said earlier, it leaves Savannah, Rizzo, and Soph in pretty grave danger now. If these groups continue to vote the same way, we'll see if that actually ends up being true or not. And then we'll also see if that other big group, will they act as a big alliance? Is the bottoms up alliance gonna try to like manipulate things from the shadows? Maybe, maybe not. Do either of you wish to see our rad dad Nate play again in the future?
I'm actually gonna say yes. I think Nate was a really good player. I feel like that moment last episode where he's just trying to like talk to MC. He knows he's not gonna beat her in regards to moving all these sandbags. Was it last episode or the episode
Yeah,
before that?
it was 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago, where he's like talking to her, getting to know her a little bit. I thought that was very strategic of him. And I think he's a very strategic player. He was in a very good spot. However, due to the fact that people are afraid of, making like, too scared to take Rizzo out, and I guess too scared to take Savannah out, he just ended up being the next one in line. I really like Nate. I think he could have gone far. So I would wanna see him back.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I generally tend to be I have a high bar, so I don't just say yes for the sake of saying yes. But I think just as Ange had mentioned, he's another player where you have those what ifs. He had the skills, had a good social game. I like to find players who have good balance and have opportunities to put those skills to use to take them towards the end. I think you have enough collection of those types of players that makes for an excellent season because everyone stays relatively competitive and you never know where it's going to go. And I do think Nate fits that criteria. And if for nothing else, then I would love to see more of those rad dad socks again in a future season.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
Very cool. I guess we have to start keeping on our radar. I mean, if Jeff's being honest, it's one of these people. Well, no, two of these people that are in 50. So we'll have to keep our
I
eyes
I
out.
don't know, man. I don't think Nate has done enough for Jeff to be like, "Yep, you're coming to 50." I'm sorry, Nate. I love to see you back, but I don't know if you are level 50 level. But I could also say the same for like some other people that are coming back. So I guess I
Yeah,
can't say a
fair
whole
enough.
lot.
So that brings us to our winner picks. So I had lost Jeremiah quite a while ago, and then
Ugh.
just in time, I had swapped from Shannon to MC, so I still have MC right now alive as my winner pick. The question is, will I change at all to anyone? It got dicey. Things are a little bit better. She, she did get rid of that idol, which could make her less of a target, and she is in the majority group. Challenge threat hopefully is a good thing where she could win immunity. So I'm gonna stick with MC. I'm gonna continue backing her as my winner pick.
Could
Now
I
we
just leave a
oh
quick comment there
yes.
just so you kind of added to your point of consideration about her? What if, like, okay, she used her idol, it puts some pressure off her. But don't you think some people could take it the wrong way that, like, oh, she had this thing the whole time that she didn't disclose to anyone? Like, Steven is
Mm.
with her, but, like, maybe what do you think the read of the rest of the tribe would be, or the rest of the people who think they've been working with her, that she did
Well,
not disclose
yeah.
this?
So those people are Christina and Sophie, and I would hope that we're in season 49, that they don't consider that as a secret, especially in a situation where it was not necessary for Hina to this group to come out on top. Like it'd be different if like the roles were reversed and nobody knew about Rizzo's idol, and it turns out he had it and didn't use it to defend them in this or even talk about it. So I think that'd be different. So I'm
Yeah.
hopeful and optimistic that no, especially now it's over with, it's over and done with now, that they and it all happened in one day too. Like we're like she found this because there's no need to tell them yet if you don't have it. Like but then she has it and she used it, so I'm hopeful. Now, yes, Jawan and Sage, I mean, they may or may not care, but they weren't part of the group, so I'm not worried about them. So that's my thoughts. Now, what about we will go to FU next. So you did have Soph originally, but in a couple episodes ago you swapped from her to Savannah. So you've had Savannah for a little bit and you have Steven. So, two people who seem to be on two different sides of things now. Will you be making any changes?
Remind me again, are we able to make unlimited changes here, or is this a one and done sort of change?
You can make as many changes as are available, but after you leave somebody, you can't go back to them. So, for example, you could
Oh,
not swap
okay.
back to Soph because you had
I
her
was
already.
That is actually exactly what I was considering doing, just because at the time there was some pressure, which seems like at least a bit of it is taken off. She's still in, as we've been discussing, the minority group, but she's just in that interesting predicament right now of having an advantage that realistically she can only steal from one of the only people that she's working with in Rizzo. So she's one of those people that's going to have major question marks going into the next episode. I'll just stick with these two for now. I know they're both kind of on the hot seat right now, but I'd like to see the rest of the story play out, see where we go from here with Savannah and Steven.
Fair enough. So that means I have MC and only MC. F has Savannah and Steven, and Ange, you have your two original picks still, which are Rizzo and Steven. So will you be making any
Ooh,
changes?
okay. I gotta think through this. So right now, I was a little worried because both of these guys were on the hot spot. Rizzo being one of them, but he does still have the idol. And I don't know why, I just feel like he's gonna stick by. Steven was also in the hot spot, but right now, Hina has the majority vote, and I have a feeling Steven might not be going anytime soon. So I will let me think. Yes, I will stick with my 2 votes. Hmm.
That's what I feel like both of you are like, I don't know about this, but just hope. especially bec- especially because
Yeah,
if things don't
I mean,
go uh Rizzo and Savannah's way, it seems like one of them would therefore go next. So
well, I
one of
mean
you is going to be wrong.
that's what
If
I thought about Sophie, and she's still around, and she's in a better spot right now. So anything can happen. There's additional sides that can happen. So as long as we're in a game of Survivor, any sort of chaos that changes things can be prevalent. So you just take the chance whenever you get it. Like I look at the other survivors and I don't know if that's necessarily a good enough switch, especially if it's something where, again, with Sophie, you're going to want to back up and maybe choose Steven again if you've taken your vote off him and now he's not available. So I like to stick with what I have for now.
Very well, very well. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Anything else you two need to get off your chest?
I just hope that they have a stupid vote in one of the future episodes where they vote one of the Sophies out just for the reason of just having to worry about calling one Sophie Sophie.
Yeah. Stay strong, Yellow Sophie.
See, we're doing it to her. It's like we have to think about how we're describing.
I do. I'm like, "Oh, which color is
It'll
which?"
be
And they also
easier
switched
once
around
one of
too.
them gets eliminated.
So
Exactly.
last second off the island talk. Have you been in a situation where there's too many people who share your name in your life?
There was in my one of my classes, I had an astronomy class in high school, and there was a guy named Angelo, okay? So it wasn't Angela, but I get nervous when I get called by the teacher. So every time the teacher says, "Angelo," I literally my stomach would clench a little. I'm like, oh, it's not me, it's Angelo, thank God." And I'm like and I cannot imagine having a common name because I would have that happen to me a lot more. And, but that was it. I actually never had an Angela. There was an Angelina, but never an Angela. How about you guys?
See, I had in my work 3 Williams, but luckily, independently, it turned out that I went by Will, one of them went by Bill, and the other went by Billy, and so it just all worked out, like, without
Wait,
any
that's
special shenanigans.
So
incredible.
you're the one true Will.
I am the one true Will, and nobody forget it. Uh, and
Wow.
and so, yeah, how many other Fs have you encountered out in the wild, good sir?
Not
Survivor
that
Fs,
many.
yeah.
You'd be
Mm.
surprised, right? Uh, you could say Survivor too. So, like, just the namesake of the show. So, not too many. It's not something I've had to worry too much about.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But all right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Island Life for season 49, episode 7. And join us next week as we're in the merge now. So we'll see. In past seasons, Jeff pulls some shenanigans to make the merge not feel like the merge. But hopefully, we're not in store for any of that as we march through through to the end of this season. But until then, and until we speak again, ciao.